Hello everyone, myself I'm Sharvesh. So I'll be doing my digital assignment 1 on design patterns. Okay, so let's get started. The pattern that I've chosen is proxy pattern. So let's get started with the intent. So this particular proxy pattern provides a surrogate or a placeholder for another object to control the access to it. So basically it creates a proxy placeholder in place of the main object in order to control the methods of that object. It is also known as the surrogate. Now let's go to motivation. Okay, only a few methods are required which belong to a costly process. Suppose we have a class. So this particular class has multiple methods. Okay, so the object associated with that particular class will have different, will have a variety of methods to access. So in place of an object, so when we use a proxy object, basically a proxy placeholder, so we can only access the methods that we require. Thus it will save the memory space and also increase the performance. Now let's talk about the applicability. So now let's talk about remote proxy. So it will create a local representative for an object in a different address space. So we can use that particular object in place of this main object. Next, let's talk about virtual proxy. So it is basically the expensive objects on demand. So that is, it will create an expensive object on demand only when it is required. So now let's talk about the protection proxy. This protection proxy controls the access to the original object. So now let's talk about smart reference. So smart reference replaces the bare pointer. So what is a bare pointer? So it will perform some additional actions whenever the object is created. So when this particular object is called, it will perform some additional. So we can perform those additional operations by using smart reference. Now let's talk about the structure of the proxy pattern. Now while talking about the structure of the proxy pattern, we'll see real subject. So what real subject does is it will create a real object in which we are creating the process. Okay, so now next we'll talk about the subject. So what subject does is it will define an interface basically between the proxy and the real subject. Next we'll talk about proxy. So it will maintain the reference which will let the proxy to access the real object. Now let's talk about the client. So client is basically who is in need of a particular action or something. So this proxy pattern is a better example in a real-time scenario. So let's take a look into it. Okay, so now let's talk about the consequences. The remote proxy can hide an object which is residing in a different address space. Okay, so we have seen it in the applicability. Same way, the virtual proxy can perform optimizations. So this is because the virtual proxy creates an expensive object only on demand. So this virtual proxy provides us an optimized object. Now let's talk about protection and smart reference. So it will perform some additional actions only when an object is created. Now let's talk about the implementation. So now let's talk on how we can implement the proxy pattern. This proxy design pattern allows us to follow the design principle, which is solid. So it allows us to control the service object without the client knowing about it. Okay, so this improves security. Next, it allows us to introduce new code without affecting the existing code structure, like plug and play model basically, which is a open closed principle. So basically we can perform easy updations when we use the proxy pattern. So now let's talk about a scenario in which we'll be seeing about a delivery management system. For a delivery management system, we'll be needing a delivery manager. So now the step one is what the delivery manager would be giving us an input. So basically he or she should give some information about the package, like the size of the package or the product number or the weight. So in our example, we are considering the package info to do the job. So basically we'll be creating a package info class. So it takes the constraints like size and weight. So we'll be getting the size and the weight of the product that we are transporting basically. Now let's take a look about the step 2. So this step 2, in step 2 we'll be seeing about the various delivery modes in which we will be delivering our project. Okay, so the delivery mode that we are going to include are car, or by bicycle or by truck. So basically we'll be creating three classes defining the mode of delivery. So now let's create the subclasses in which we'll be implementing the package delivery interface. So we'll have a subclass for bicycle, we'll have a subclass for truck, we'll have a subclass for car. So here I have shown the subclass that is being created by delivery by bicycle. Now let's take a look at the delivery by class. So this is a subclass that is also implementing package delivery interface. Okay, so now let's talk about the delivery by truck. So here we have created a class called delivery by truck, which is implemented by the package delivery. Now coming to the main point, we'll see how these proxies are managed. So in our example, the proxy will be managed by the delivery manager class. So we can also call this class as factory manager class. So basically we'll be deciding the delivery mode based on the weight of the package that is getting delivered. If that particular package exceeds a certain amount of weight that is not included in that particular mode of delivery, the package will be rejected. So we have created the delivery manager class here. Now let's talk about the step 4. How to provide a substitute or a placeholder for another object. Basically how to implement the proxy structure here. Proxy basically controls the access of the original object, allowing you to perform something either before or after the request gets through the original object. So in our example, proxy classes are checking the package object based on the weight before it goes to delivery method. Now what I have done is I have created proxy class for each and every delivery mode. So what I have done is I have created a delivery proxy for bicycle class. Okay, this will extend the delivery by bicycle class. Okay, this will act as a proxy class for the delivery by bicycle class. So here we are checking if the package weight is greater than 5. So if it is greater than 5, it will not be delivered using bicycle. So if it is lesser than 5, so it will be delivered by bicycle. So that's what it has been done here. Now let's talk about the delivery proxy for car. Okay, so this delivery by car class will be replaced by the delivery proxy for car class. So here we are checking if the package weight is greater than 10. So if it is greater than 10, so this will not be delivered by car. So if it is lesser than 10 and greater than 5, it will be delivered using car. Now let's talk about the delivery proxy for the truck class. Okay, so we have created a delivery proxy for truck class which will extend the delivery by truck. So this particular class will be accessed in place of the delivery by truck class. So here we are checking if the weight is greater than 50, for instance. Okay, so if the weight is greater than 50, this particular product will not get delivered. Okay, so if it is lesser than 50, basically we can deliver it using a truck. Now we'll look into how we will test the factory design pattern. Okay, so the factory design class that now we will, so now in step 5 we will look into how we will define the factory design class. Okay, so this is the main class that we are gonna create. So basically I have created a design pattern. Now I have created a package info basically for small sizes, that is for weight of 5 kg. Okay, so here you can see that we are accessing the delivery manager factory, so in which we are accessing the package info that is small. Okay, so here we are accessing the package info medium, so here we are accessing the package info large based on the weights that we are going to provide as a test input. Okay, factory proxy pattern class. Okay, so based on the information that we have provided, so when the weight is 5, so it will be delivered by a car. So when the weight is 12, it is not possible to deliver by a car. Okay, so when the weight is 52, it is not possible to deliver by a car and it shows as overweight. So thank you for the opportunity that has been provided. So I hope the proxy pattern might have been clear. Thank you. So I'll meet in another video. Bye.